Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. This is part 2 of my woodland painting, where I'll show you how I add the figures. I hope you enjoy watching, and if you do, please subscribe. Now I'm going to concentrate on the figures, or the figure and the dog. First thing I've got to do is rub away the masking fluid, and I'm doing that with my finger, but you'll have to remember that if you've got any grease on your finger, then the paint may not take that well. So, but other than that, I've just washed my hands, so there's the dog and the figure. Now I'm going to mix some colour and put some colour on those. Right, now I'm going to start off with the figure itself, and this one has blonde hair, this lady, so we're painting that in, doing all the light areas first. Look at the glimmer of light on the top edge there, and as I come down, that head goes down to there. I'm just lifting off because there is some hair just drooping on the left hand side as she looks towards the dog. Now I'm adding cobalt blue for the sleeves of the undergarment there. Just got to watch with arms that you get the right sort of shape. Always a kink at the elbow, even if the figure doesn't appear to have any kinks. There you go. Finish that there. That's cobalt blue. Now the trousers are of it's like a bluey grey really, I suppose. Only just off white. So that's coming down there. Just off white, that's all you need for that. A little bit of tint of blue. Let's try and pick up a tint of blue in that just before it dries. It has got, there we go, it has got a little bit of colour. There you go, that's that. Now while that dries, before I put the main jacket on, I need to look at the dog. Now for the dog I need to be a little careful because it's slightly it's got some dark markings, and that actually shows up the mouth. So we've got a dark area there. We do have a dark area just down the rump area, somewhere there. And other than that, it's pretty white. The ear has a bit of a flap, dark flat piece to it. Now we go inside the mouth with something less intense, a bit more red in there. Clean that brush. What red? We've got a reasonable red because of the tongue. There we are. That looks pretty much okay, I think. And we do have just the eye would come sort of there at that point, and then we just pull up because of that mouth area. There you go. Bit more red now. Like to say a red tongue of some sort. There you go. Perfect. Now we've got to soften one or two of those areas because that needs to be taken away a touch for the ear and around the eye. There you go. Let that dry. Tail, any markings? No. Little bit of darker area on the underside of that leg there. Go a little even darker than that at this stage. Yeah, that's a nice little arch there, and that comes around then, and then that then goes to the rear leg there, and that's got a little bit of kink to it, but nothing too much. That's that. And then of course there's a little bit that's under there that you could sort of envisage being sort of dark, like that. But other than that, I think we can now put on the jacket of the figure. There we are, look at that little eye. Nice, let that dry. One or two other little touches, nothing much to any significance. Now the jacket is of a black sort of arrangement, but we've just got to watch we pick up the right shape of the hood, because that hood sort of comes around the neck like that, and oh, it goes down the back. Okay, just about see that hood walking around the top of that arm and heading off down there. That then goes around there like that. Whoop! We are now into the area where the bag hangs. So we've got the bag there. Other than that, it's all black this side, like that. Reload the brush because I'm running out of dark colour. Don't want to be too dark at this stage. That's a vital area. If you're too dark, then you have lost that friend of light. Then there's the strap, quite a substantial strap. And what have we got at the front here? Very little really. That then heads down like that. That goes into the neck, and the bag hangs across the front. That is as simple as that. Now we're going to put some shadow around that area of the figure, like that. Okay, and that more or less runs right the way down there to show that leg. Then of course you just clean the brush and you soften it. There we are. So that's that. There are one or two little touches here and there around the foot, and we've got we're not going to show anywhere where the figure is got any shoes on that one, but we may just put a foot onto that, but we'll see shortly. Okay. Oh, and the hair, we need a little bit of this sort of dark area because we have a little ringlet in the hair there, and then of course we've got shadow in places for the way the hair hangs down. There we are. And that actually wants to be burnt sienna, because that will help the look, help the warmth of that hair there. That's it. And of course, as always, soften it, because if you don't, it doesn't look right. And I'm just going to put some darker stuff around that area there, around the neck. There's too much hair there for my liking. All vital little areas that make the dog look like a dog, really. And then we're having some shadow on the bag because we've got light coming from the left. Now, for those of you that watch my videos a lot, you know that my favourite part is the shadow work. And I'm going to use whatever I've got here. Now, there will be a shadow running across there. Stop at the figure because it's not at that sort of angle, but it does run down there. Then it comes again through there. Don't want that to bleed in, and that'll help show the tail of the dog. There you go. Or at least part of it. That then goes around there. This is the tricky part, picking around the dog itself, because once you overpaint, then obviously you lose it to a certain extent, and it's got to be the right colour, the right tone, without being too dark. There you go. And just pick up the top of the head. I can just shape the top of that head perfect. There you go. Now I can weaken it and spread it. Go a bit wild with this again now. And there will be some weaker stuff coming up there. Some weaker stuff there. And then I'm going to take a weaker shadow coming across there. Like that. Just for the hell of it. And then that's going to be weakened as it gets towards the dog and the lower part and the top part as well, because this is all dappled light from trees. There we are. It's this dappled light that we've got to try, if we can, to pick up around that figure, which makes it a little more difficult, but hey ho, we bash on. Right, now a bit more red in this, not too much, alizarin crimson and Windsor blue or Prussian blue. These are the colours I'm using. So I'm running down there like that. Then I'm sweeping this lovely shadow across where the figures are, and there's also another one coming down there from another tree, possibly that one actually. There you go, see? There's always a reason for shadows. And then of course we can soften that, because there aren't too many hard edges around that figure, because them figures are going to get lost if we go too far with that. So I'm just using the brush just to soften. There we are. Okay, now we're going for the big one, and this one will cast across the arm of the figure to a small degree. There you go, not too much, but across the arm of the figure like that. Down that leg. Like that. And then just taper. This will then be in full shadow. This leg. Like that. That will be in full shadow. Shadow there. That's it. And then, of course, that would then sweep across. The figure would have a shadow as well. And of course the dog sits in shadow as well. A little bit more shadow under there, tad more there. I'll soften that shortly. And then shadow from that tree is somewhat dappled. In actual fact, I want to bring that right the way down into that shadow, that foot. There we go. And then we come across like that, dappling the shadow, softening and hardening the edges. Look at that. This is my favourite part of any painting, as you well know. Well, those of you that follow me do know. A bit more red going in now, because I do like red. Not too much. With a little blue into this foreground shadow to really give me... You've got to push the boundaries with this sort of thing, because if you don't, you've got no chance of creating light, really. There we go. Plenty of blue in there, plenty of red. Losing it. Just put a tree in there, but that's probably going to get lost. And of course it's going to dry somewhat quicker, or lighter, sorry, than you originally think. So that goes up there, and then this comes into shadow then. Considerable shadow. There's a nice spiky area there that's going to be shadowed, and then this is going to be shadowed too. Not all of it, don't overdo that shadow. Love to see the luminous of that luminosity. Is that the word? I'm not sure as it is really. But anyway, now I'm going in with a little bit darker shadow, a bit of raw sienna going in the shadow mix now, just to thicken it, just to give it, I don't know, a different hue, because I'm going to use it on the lower parts there, and as it just spreads off into that area there, because it wasn't actually strong enough, but it will be obviously along the edge there and into that area there. Oh yes, needs this type of attention. A lot of people think that, you know, you create this sort of shadow work, you're spoiling it, but it's what it needs. There's no question about that. It is what it needs. So that figure is actually in shadow, and so is the dog. Go. Now I'm cleaning the brush. I'm going to soften now just before it dries, so I don't get too many hard edges, because I'm not a great lover of lots of hard edges in shadows. Nice to have some, but not too many. And the shadow in the distance, obviously, is nowhere near as dark. There you go. We'll let that dry. Now I just want to show you this last technique of dragging the brush across the paper, just to try and get that sort of dappled light. And let me do a part there, look. See where I'm dragging the brush and it's just lifting off some colour. That gives it that sort of mystical sort of shadow. And that's what I've done in varying places. It all needs to dry, and I've got some little finishing touches to go in. Now I'm just using the point of the brush just to finish off some darker touches here and there, not too much, and just rub them up with your finger if they're getting a bit heavy. I'll put some foreground stuff in, a bit of red. Always nice to put some reds in amongst the greens. I'm going to enhance that, can't quite see that now, we've lost that area of that broken branch, so I'm going to put that back in a little bit stronger, like that, and like that. Another little spike area there. That's it. And of course there is another branch that lays like that, but it all just helps to give interest in the foreground, really. It doesn't have to be too fussy. Everybody knows what that is. Well, everybody hopefully will assume what it is. Just produce a cut off bit at the back. Now I'm going to take the surround away. Well, there's the finished painting. As you can see, done one or two little adjustments, but basically the techniques that I've shown you are all that you really need to complete this sort of subject. Now I'm going to sign up, because I always recommend everyone signs their work. I'm not going to sign it so it's too visible, so I'm going to just put it here, and I'm signing it obviously in the paint that I've used, because that's always recommended as far as I know. And there we have it, commission for someone local of Woodland Common.